Be blessed, be great, be you. Family, welcome to another edition of The Father Fam on The Father Fam YouTube channel. All right, this is a special edition here, y'all. This is going to be an interview edition, and I couldn't think of a better person to bring on for my first interview other than my pops, Mr. John Stevenson the first. Man, what's going on, pops?
What's going on, son? It's
Hey,
funny hearing the first.
I'm the second junior. I mean, I prefer to be called the second.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Definitely there was no better person that I could bring on other than my father, man. You know, just for us to sit down and just for us to talk about fatherhood, just life in general. I just feel like this is gonna be a good conversation that we can have that can help other people.
Yeah.
And also, man, I feel like it's needed. I feel like it's something good for the culture, man. So let's do it, man. Let's sit down and have a conversation, man. So pops, we'll start back with you, man. Just kind of tell the people a little bit of what you do and who you are, man.
Okay, well, first, man, thanks for even having me. I felt honored that my son would even want to sit and talk to me about fatherhood. I guess, it's not something that, is an automatic to me so I felt honored as a dad that you'd even want me to come and talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what am I? I'm a lot of things, man. First off, I'm a pastor, minister. I have opportunity to counsel married people, share the word all the time. I'm a firm believer that that Bible is our life. It's got to be made practical, and not religious. We're living in a different season, different time. So I believe that there's some things that are relatable to how we supposed to live now. When I used to go to church, everybody had to wear suits and everything. But you see me, I'll wear Jordans in the pulpit. If I'm a guest speaker somewhere, I'll out of the house, but I do that,
Yeah, we always say come as you are. I mean, I remember had a conversation with you, me and Keith was going back and forth about come as you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you said a whole paragraph for me.
Yeah, because I don't like to be misunderstood. So I like, all right, I don't want her to feel like I'm taking my son's side. But then I saw both your sides in that, So yeah, I had to make sure I was clear in what I was saying. But then I'm also a father, as you know. There's five of y'all, and I love everybody. I'm a husband, which madly in love with your mom. We've been best friends for years, over 30-something years. And so I'm that entrepreneur. I have a consulting business, Inspiring Minds, which as a result comes the Vision for Change podcast, radio show. Was on Radio 1 for 5 to 6 years and got a chance to do a lot of things in my life, man. So I'm a lot of things.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah. But I need to make sure I'm mastering the main thing I'm supposed to be doing. That's the call of the preach.
Yep. And me and you, we've had conversations off the camera, man. We've been talking about doing this for a while now, man. And just to be able to do it now, I just feel like it's important, man. And the reason why I'm doing this is to reach out to different fathers. Any way I can help bring change, to also, man, recognize some of the fathers that are out here doing good things. Because, we always have that narrative, man. Well, some people, I'm not gonna say all people say it, but that narrative that, especially black fathers, man, just that we ain't this, we ain't that. We hear once in a while. It's just a narrative that I want to get rid of, man. I want to be able to highlight fathers that are doing good things, man, that are out here in the community making a difference. And you're at the top of the list, man. For one of the reasons why I'm bringing you on, you're my pops and somebody that I look up to, man. And I just kind of want to pick your brain a little bit, ask some questions, so we can help other people out there. So let's kind of start back with you, your upbringing, you coming up, man. Like, how was that? I mean, kind of break that down for us. Kind of walk through your childhood for us for a little bit.
Well, I grew up in a house where it was just my mom and my dad. As far as I can remember, used to just come over. And so being little, you think that's just a norm. That, okay, I didn't know any different from the time that I think I can remember back to 3 or 4 years old. It's just my daddy just didn't, he didn't live in the house with us, grew up in Brooklyn, New York. And My mama took care of us, had an older brother. And then I remember mom yelling, putting him out at 16 when he was 16. And I had my sister Doris, was about 3 years younger than me. And my dad would just come over. He'd come over maybe like, I knew it was every weekend, but I didn't know it was a weekend. As a kid, you just know Daddy's here, kind of figure out times he'd come and he'd take us some places. We'd go to my Aunt Gloria's house and she lived in Harlem and spend some time up there and bring us back. But then he went home. Sometimes he might stay the night, but he'd leave early in the morning. Little did I know, when I got older, my dad was married, had a whole other family, and my mother was the side chick. And I didn't know that. All I know is he just came and he showed up. And then I remember him and mother arguing sometimes. I remember the thing I remember being in the room and I heard a glass break. And the next morning we got up, there was like a piece of spaghetti that was on the wall. She threw at him, I guess, and missed. And that spaghetti stayed there for years, man, that dry spaghetti. And so when I remember my dad, I remember him coming over. I remember just his smell. I could still, it was like, that Old Spice he had. I could smell that. Or in his car, the tree air fresheners. You live and you never forget that, But I didn't know till I got older that my father was he had another family. And so the only thing I had with knowing what a father was him coming and then him making a lot of false promises, He used to tell us, I'm going to do this when we were a certain age. My mom decided to move us out of New York. She felt as if that was not going to be good, especially for me. Because in New York, the kids take the train and go wherever they're going to go. And so she said, kids are getting pushed in front of the train and involved with gangs and all kind of craziness. And so she felt like, hey, I got to get my kids out of the city. Mm-hmm. And so she did, moved us to Maryland.
How old was you when you came to Maryland?
I was 9.
9?
Yeah, and so I hated it because we moved away from all of our family. Mm-hmm. Our entire family was in New York City. And so to move to Maryland was hard for me. Mm-hmm. It was real hard for me to come to move to Maryland, but she was all I had. And so she felt like she had to be hard to raise me because there was no man. Now, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't the best well-behaved kid. I was bad, man. I was seeing a psychologist when I was in 2nd grade. I was doing some stuff, man, that, they felt like, well, he's got this going on because he don't have a father, male figure in the house. That's what they always say. And so because I didn't have a male figure in the house, they felt that's why I was acting out in class. I'd leave class, get a pass, slamming doors and classrooms in the hallway in New York and all kinds of stuff. So they got me sitting at a certain part of the day talking to, a psychologist who trying to dig in my head, show me little pictures. What does this look like? Trying to figure me out, man. And it didn't help.
So did you feel like there was a void there, not having the pops back then?
I don't know if I felt that when I was growing up because I guess I didn't know any better. And we hear it now a lot where people say if they had a father, but I see a lot of young men grow up okay without one, but I think it does make a difference. I think if I had my father in the house, there's things that my mother had to be, she felt she had to be, that she thought a father would be to make sure the hardness, the toughness, she showed me how to tie a tie, little small things, but I think having a male figure there probably would have made a greater difference in some of the things. I wouldn't have done some of the foolishness, I'm certain.
Do you feel like did you have any male role models coming up? Was there anybody else that you would look up to or?
Everything was television for me. So if I had there was a guy that my mom dated before, but that he was, and actually it's crazy story. I got a book coming out about all this stuff. And he was actually married. He dated my mom. We moved in with them. And so my mom wanted him to be a father figure, but then because His wife saw that he brought his old girlfriend and lived with us. She scrammed and she moved to Seattle. Then next thing you know, my mom didn't have everyone, all kind of crazy
Hold on,
nonsense,
so
man.
let's
Yeah,
rewind it back.
yeah, I know, John.
Okay, so y'all were living in a house with this man, your mom, Doris, my aunt Doris, and the other woman was in the house, right?
His wife.
So his wife, and then
Yeah.
Grammy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I saw a lot of craziness at first, but you know, for me as a kid, it's just what it is. You know, you don't know that that's a bad thing. You know, you get older, you go, dang, ma, you just moved in with another dude, and then next thing you know, she gone and you in the room. You know, it's just, you know. So I saw a lot of nonsense. Didn't know it was nonsense, but you know, I feel like your kids are like a blank piece of paper. You know, whoever spent the most time what they see is doing the most writing. So that wrote something, you know.
So going back to those father figures, you said so pretty much you learned what you could learn fatherhood from watching TV, watching the Cosbys, watching Good Times.
Good Times. James was a father figure. He wasn't no joke. I had my Uncle Ace. My uncle is. Uncle Ace, he was kind of sort of a father figure, but he wasn't there, you know. So, you kind of got fatherhood on your own, what it is. You know, I had a perception of what I thought a good father was, but to have the reality in the house, I didn't have it. So I vowed that whenever I had kids, I wasn't going to not be there for them like my dad wasn't there for me. I swore to God I would never, because the feeling hurt. When my dad telling me he was going to always come, he was going to leave his family and come live with us, but never did. It hurt, man, you know, because you're thinking, okay, when you going to do this? And then when I got to be a teenager, I called and asked him for something. And he didn't come through. I needed help, and he didn't come through. And that's when I said, you know what? I ain't got no dad. And that void was crazy. It was crazy.
So let's talking about your childhood. What would you say was probably one of the biggest things that you had to overcome growing up as a kid?
Self-confidence, fitting in. You know, when you young, I think for me, moving from New York, coming to Maryland, trying to fit in. I was always trying to, I felt like I could, but you get to a certain age, you start liking girls. You don't feel like you look good enough for the girls. I wasn't that guy. You know, my mom didn't have a lot of money, so we didn't have the best clothes, and didn't get haircuts like that. So, it's like, okay, for me to survive, I got to be good at joning and, So
Joning, that's a word that we don't use anymore.
I know. We used to joning.
I can't remember the last time somebody used that
Hey,
word.
man, that's how we
old school, man.
It is. So joning, way back when, ranking, clowning, whatever. But boy, I had to get good at it, and I was, because I had to, you had to sink or swim. And so overcoming my own confidence, man, that was it. I had to get confident in who I was, and I didn't, kids are kids, you don't know who you are. You just trying to fit in and make it and be with the flow with everybody,
Yeah. So pretty much growing up, you'll say that Grammy played that father figure and mother role.
She had to.
Yeah.
She didn't have a choice, if she didn't do it, her thing was, you're gonna have to learn how to fight. So she was teaching me things how to fight. So I had to fight a lot. I fought a lot. Then, even with Jonah thing, but she had corny stuff, oh, I ain't saying that. That sounds stupid. So I work on how to do that. Then playing sports, going out playing sports. She wasn't no sports person, but, she made sure she did what she could to make us allow us to have what we needed to have Christmas time. And she did the very best she could. Worked 2 jobs, we come home sometimes and the eviction notice was on the door. And, as a kid, you see it. We lived on the 3rd floor. So, we go up and like, God, from school, Ma, the thing is on the door. So I figured I'd get that. And she had the beg, borrow money sometimes. She did what she could, play bingo, play the lottery, to try to do what she could to pay that rent. And she,
That's Grammy.
yeah, man, she did what she could do, but we made it, you know. She made it. So she was provider, leader. She was strong.
Okay, what would you say was one of the biggest things that Grammy instilled in you that you still carry to this day?
Man, it's a lot. If I had to say something right now at the moment, it'd be don't let anybody take advantage of you. You know, just you can do whatever you need to do. She took us to church and made sure that we had God in our life, and based on what she knew at that point in time, we go to church, but back then, people talk about church and say if you drank or smoked, you were still sinning. So we go to church, and then my mom come home, she drinking and she smoking. So I felt like, okay, is this really real? But I know more now about that. God ain't judge you for that kind of stuff. But God was priority for us. But then also, you can't be no punk out here. You got to be strong, and don't let nobody tell you what you can't do, or don't let nobody take advantage of you, and you always be the protector of your family, that kind of thing.
Now we'll fast forward a little bit now to the first time you found out you was going to be a father. Like, kind of take us through your emotions and how you felt.
Well, it was weird because Matthew was my first born. Ashley, of course, when I got married to mom, she was there, but Matthew was my first, and it was exciting because I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a dad, but I wasn't really even dating his mom at the time, so I was conflicted, because now I'm with your mom, and now here's another lady that I used to care for, pregnant, and so I didn't know how that was going to turn out. I wanted to okay, I'm going to be a dad. I'm trying to let it sink in. But I knew that there's going to be some issues coming down the line because I'm having a son with somebody I'm not dating no more. And now I'm in love with this other woman. And I'm looking, hopefully, to get a future with her. How's this going to play out? And I didn't know. And I said, wow, man, I said I didn't want to be in a situation my dad was in, but here I am walking right into that, But I knew I wasn't gonna have a life with her. I knew we wasn't going to be together, but I had to co-parent. And so now I had to figure out how to do that. And so excited on one hand, but then in my head, knowing I'm probably coming into some issues that I know I'm not prepared for.
Yeah, man, I've talked about my feeling when I first found out I was going to be a dad. It's different than yours, but it was excitement, but there was nervousness as well, just because I just didn't think that I was going to be good. I didn't think I was going to be good at it. I was thinking more of the finances, just am I even in a position to even raise a kid? And that's one of the reasons why I waited for so long to even have kids, man, because I was afraid, man. I really was, man. I was afraid that I wasn't going to be good enough.
I think that's natural, though, man. I think when you think I got another life I'm about to be responsible for, and now can I do it?
Yeah.
I mean, we got people around us, but we think, can we do it? All kind of things run through your head. But you need to live in the moment, but then you're thinking all the way down the line when they get 20, college, and all kind of stuff.
And
man.
that's what I was thinking, especially with Kyson in 2020. You already know all the stuff that was going on with the pandemic, and then you got the whole Black Lives Matter movement going on, police brutality, all that stuff. So I'm thinking, all this stuff going on, I gotta talk to my son about this. He's gonna be a black man in this world, and what am I gonna say to him? How am I gonna break all this stuff down to him as far as how to talk to police, just how to stay out of trouble, just the way that times are going now, man. It's just.
And John, I'm in that social activist thing. I'm into it heavily, and going back and forth with our white counterparts that don't understand our perspective and what we grew up with. You know as well as I do. We've had conversations of, being pulled over by the police and how they treated us at certain times. It's not a myth. It's not. It's a reality. And so, yeah, when you have children, you're concerned. And one of the biggest reasons why I got into that fight, why I got involved with the protests, why I have the things that I do online, is because of the encounters that you guys were going through. And I said, okay, this has got to stop. So it's good to talk about what needs to be done, but somebody needs to do something. And so even what you're doing now, educating other fathers so they can educate their children. This is great because we all have to be able to teach our children, especially young Black boys. Actually, Black girls are going through it now.
Yep.
Your sister, my daughter Dominique, talks about being pulled out the car, being searched, and it's almost like it's a common thing, and we have to prepare our children for this kind of stuff. And yes, you can be fearful because you want your babies to come home alive. So the best way to educate them is to keep in their ear, keep sharing your experiences and talking to them about this kind of stuff and telling them how to, not being afraid, but how to navigate through this world as it is. And that's the tough thing to do, but we know we got to do it. And I think as a culture, we've just grown accustomed to doing it.
Yeah, man. So I don't know. Like I said, for me, it was tough. Just that first feeling of knowing I'm gonna be a dad, man. It's a lot. But I felt like I learned a lot along the way, even with people that I've talked to that are fathers. Just like, you just have to learn on the go. I mean, some things you just not gonna learn just by looking at a book or watching TV. There's some things you're gonna just have to go through and experience.
Right.
So once Kyson came, just going through a lot of that different stuff. I haven't went through everything yet. Kyson's still young, but it's been some work, man. But definitely versus when Kyson was born versus when Soraya was born, I felt like I felt a little bit more comfortable with the second one, just because I went through all that. Went through all that with Kyson just being afraid at first, but just like talking to you, man, you gave me, some confidence. You're gonna be good. You're gonna be a good dad. So the conversations we had and conversations I've had with friends, just you're gonna be all right. You're overthinking it, but you still got that in the back of your mind. Or am I gonna be a good dad? What?
Yeah, it comes with experience. You're not gonna know what to do until you get faced with it yourself. And you're not gonna be able to do what I did, but you have a pattern, and you're gonna think about it the way for your son. I believe God gives each of us a gift for the moment and the seasons that we're in. And so with you and Kyson, it's going to be different than you and I, but you got a pattern of what you saw. Your experience is going to walk you through what you saw with us. And, we've had these conversations. You're going to be able to see, you're going to have those fears. But Kyson's going to get the best because I believe God put him in the right place with you and with Keisha. And so there's things he's going to get even from his mom. And you guys to say, you and Ashley said, y'all treat Dominic and Marcus different than he treated us, I probably didn't have to put my hands on him as much because I grew. As a parent, you're going to grow. And so I grew up, and I didn't put my hands on. I was sitting back one day thinking about that, okay, I can put my hands on them all the time. I thought each kid, and how many times I touched them. The one that probably had to get disciplined most physically was Dominique.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, because she was just a little rebel. She still is, but but I didn't have to do that. But I think about things that I learned. Each kid, you grow, you start growing, and so when you grow, you become more mature, and you start seeing different things. Because I realize, okay, I'm raising people that have to go live in society and be good citizens. So how to be respectful. And then I watch you code shift like I did. Okay, we're at a restaurant, we don't, yeah, man, yeah. Yes, yeah. What we'll have is, I watch how you do that. I'm like, hey, they're just like me, man. How you open doors for people, how you are courteous to people. And so sometimes as a parent, you might say something like, man, none of this stuff is working, because I don't see them, you're watching your kid and, oh man, especially with the adolescent years, you're like, oh man. But then when they get older and I hear you talk, I hear Marcus say something, I hear Matt say something like, wow, wow, wow. It sunk in. Wow. They did get it, you know? And all of y'all are great parents. Oh, I'm amazed at watching how my sons take on parenthood. And it's not like what a mama just says, not, nah, man, y'all are in there. I was like, they're in there. Like I was, you know, y'all are doing it. Like, no. I got the feeding. I'm changing the diapers. You know, I'm doing all of this stuff. I'm washing the dishes and stuff. It's like, they get it, you know.
Yeah. And talking about all of us, as far as my siblings, we're talking about the different personalities you had to deal with. All of us weren't the same.
No.
How did you handle, as a father, all those different personalities as far as what to say to us? I mean, I know certain kids you couldn't say certain things to. You had to switch it up a little bit. So how did you handle dealing with different personalities as a father?
Treat everybody like they're individual, who they are. I mean, we had the, you know, at the house, we had the guidelines and the rules for everybody, but everybody was different. I couldn't approach Asher like I could approach you or Matt. I couldn't approach you like I could approach Matt and talk to him about something. I remember the teacher telling me one time, it was something in school, you were elementary school, and I remember Dr. Barnes, that's her name, and we were talking about something with you in schoolwork, and then she just said, Mr. Stevenson, can I ask you a question? I said, sure. She said, when you have to correct John or something, how do you do it? Are you standing or, you know, I said, it depends on where we are, what's going on. If I had to say, hey, man, why'd you do this, da-da-da. And I correct you. She said, I'm going to make a suggestion because you're tall. Make sure you're sitting on the bed or sitting down when you call him in so you can look him eye to eye. We weren't even talking about correcting or disciplining you or anything. And the thing that we was talking about in school wasn't even about discipline, anything you did wrong. It was something about your schoolwork. And I felt like that was like, I believe we get those God wings. God give us information through other people. And that was one of the things that she said I never, ever forgot. I never forgot it. So every time I addressed you or any of your brothers and sisters, and I had to say something serious or I had to correct you something, I was sitting down. Because she said, because you're taller, you tower, they might be fearful. And I never was swelling up in anger because I need you to hear me sometimes. And there's times I did have to get, you know, hey, this man, what's the last time I'm going to tell you, you know, I mean, your mom and I are different. I'm not the hollerer. I wasn't the screaming and all that. I wasn't doing all that. So if I said it once or twice, then we're going to address it another way.
Yeah. But yeah, man, as far as the discipline, I felt like y'all, you did good with that, man, as far as discipline and being there for us, man. Now, going back to what we was talking about, how you're feeling when your first child was born. Now, I come along. What was that like? You know, what was that experience like? Okay, find out you got another kid, and how did you just kind of walk us through the feeling of that? Just
scared.
So you were still scared after the.
Yeah. Not scared. I don't know if that's the right word. Thought about, man, one, you want to give your kids the best. So it's like, okay, man, I didn't expect it. This one, like, Planned Parenthood thing. It's like, okay, you're talking about within a year, here you come. And I'm thinking, okay, how are you going to deal with this? Financially, neither one of them live with you. I'm going to have to make sure, because I made a vow that I was not going to be like my dad. And sometimes when you dig in your past, you still make mistakes because I can't look back and go, okay, I'm not going to be like him. And I'm striving not to be like somebody else instead of focusing on being the best I can be right now. So I'm trying to fight not to be something when I should be fighting to be the best I can be with who I am. Because I'm still looking back instead of looking forward. And so I had to get a hold of, you got to look forward and be the best dad you can be instead of trying not to be like this guy that wasn't in your life. So having you come along, it's like, okay, man, I gotta step the game up more. I can't take reckless chances with my life, be wrong places. I wasn't no criminal-minded dude anyway, but I was making sure that certain people I wasn't gonna get caught up with because I got children. I was at one time thinking about I wanted to get out of the post office. That's where I was working, and I got tired of working nights, and I was thinking about the state police because I felt like, hey, it's way out, good money, good benefits. And I said, it's just too much of a risk, and I need to be here for these boys. Because I had 2 black boys that I want to make sure are raised correctly. And so I didn't take risks. So I made sure that I did what I had to do the right way so that I could be here. And still, I was young, and I didn't have a pattern. So there'd be guys at work that would talk to me, and eventually, I got into church, and then that helped a lot because I had more mature men around me, family men that would give me advice and drop wisdom on me and consider this, think about this, and I can see what they did. And even though you guys, we were different households, I still was there, man. Still was there doing what I had to do, grinding it out to make sure that y'all saw something different.
Now, to bring up church, now do you feel like when you started to get into church and gave your life to Christ, do you feel like that changed you as far as, okay, when it came to father, do you feel like you became a better father after doing that? And then what were there any Pastor Brew, rest in peace, Pastor Brew. I know he was a father figure in your life as well when you coming into church, and just kind of was there anybody else that it helped you along the way when it came to fatherhood through the ministry? Was there?
Yeah. I had one of my friends who's my friend today, Melvin Speed. We were good friends. We still are good friends. And I watched how, he grew up down south, and he just had traits in him about being a man of his word. So I was always that. And I had always told your mom, even when we got married a few years later, that, I'm not going to tell my kids something and not do it, because I had that experience. So I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be that. So watching him, how he was about keeping his word. Then it was another pastor. He's a pastor now, a friend of mine named Trey Staten. I watched him, just the integrity. He made sure he was trying to do what the Bible said. And so I did. It wasn't just about being holy. Now you see yourself through Christ as the example. So I knew I had to be an example, and I had to pattern myself to be a good guy. I was already a good guy, but I was being a better good guy. I don't know if that's a thing, to make sure that being a father, because Trey did that. Everything was Bible, everything was the word. How does Jesus say do it? How does Jesus say do it? And I know there's power that we miss the power in the Bible because we're not doing the love thing. So how to love, and love is more than just being nice. It's being gentle. It's being temperate. It's forgiving. It's long suffering and suffering long, being meek. And those are the fruits of the Spirit in Galatians chapter 5. And so, okay, if I can master those, then that's going to help me be a good dad, because I want those traits in my children. And so Trey helped me with that. Pastor Herman Scales, I watched him. He was very organized, and he was the church administrator, which eventually I became that. And he was just a guy that I rubbed shoulders with, showed me how to be the dad. And of course, Pastor Bruno was my spiritual dad. And there's things spiritually that, he said, you walk by faith and not by sight. You got to trust God. There's things you're not going to be able to see in the natural. And if you can teach your kids that, they won't have to rely on just natural things, because there's a spiritual side of walking by faith to get resources for your health and all those things. So he taught me that. And so I think that reflected in my life, spending time with him. And then also, consequently showed up in your life,
I said, I try to imitate you the best I can, Dad. I know I ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
but
you're doing a great job. You're actually doing better than I did.
I'm doing the best I can, but let's kind of move it forward to teenage years. We'll kind of get into, where I feel like coming up, getting into those teenage years, we want to do different things, and we kind of go against our parents, at times, just because we want to do our different things. So I kind of want to touch on that a little bit. I'll start from like, where I was 16 to 18. I felt like that time period for us in our relationship, man, I felt like that was probably one of the most, most where we was most distant in that time. 17 to 18. That's was 16. I was, I was still doing all right, but 17 to 18, I felt like our relationship kind of took a turn for the worse, man, at that time, man, and just what I was going through at that time, and I'm not saying I was the perfect kid, I did some things I shouldn't have been doing. You talk about taking the car, just out and about doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing. And I just want to touch on, okay, how did you feel about that time? I know that we had our differences back then.
It was tough, man, because you went from, and I know this, you try to find yourself, your own identity. You feel like, as a parent, we still were, I don't think, we try to let you guys grow to have more freedom, but then you also know some of that freedom can cost if we're too liberal. And so nah, I'm gonna be a little strong, because all I had was, Grammy. She didn't play. Nah, and so I'm like, okay, well, we gotta have a curfew. And I felt like I was very liberal with the curfew. I mean, midnight for a teenager.
No, the curfew was 10 o'clock.
10
No. It was 10 at 16, I want to say. Then 18 was 12. Now, usually around 12, that's when stuff gets started. 12 midnight, that's like,
Well, actually,
so
when you were young, when you were in high school, what was that curfew? I thought it was 12 then. I can't remember, but I remember you didn't come in. And I was tired of saying that. Hey, you need to be here. And it's like, for some reason, like, man, I don't care what he say. And it's like, man, what's wrong with this dude? So, remember that night you came, it was 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
and you opened that door. I took the key. I
came running down the stairs.
No, I was in the living room waiting on you. I went downstairs. I was waiting. I said, I'm staying up, waiting for you to get home. Took the key, pushed you right back out the door, and closed the door.
I was talking about it. I'm thinking about another time when I came home, and I tried to open the door. I don't know if there was something that was on the other side of the door. I couldn't get the door open. Open the door. You came downstairs. So he need to go. And the mom came downstairs. No. He need to. No, you need to chill. No, either I go or he go. That would either I go or he go.
Yeah, because we bumped heads.
I feel like that was like, I'm like, man, at that time, I just felt like you touched on how you felt when you was a kid. For me, I kind of felt the same way, that I felt like I didn't fit in at the time, So I think at that time, at that young age, I was trying to fit in, but I wasn't. But I felt like I wasn't too worldly enough, or whatever you want to call it, or too churchy enough of what you was trying to raise me to be. So it was like, I felt like I was in the middle, man. I felt like I was just...
I can see you trying to identify.
Yeah, so I was still trying to find myself at the time, man. And there were certain things that I wanted to do, and I didn't really understand, okay, why Pops, why is Dad not letting me do certain things? Like, he's putting a whole bunch of different restrictions on things that I can do. And okay, so-and-so can do this, I can't do this. My friends can go out and do this, I can't do this. I gotta come in the house, and everybody else gets to do their different things, but I gotta be in the house and not feel like I didn't get to have fun and do the things that I wanted to do. So I look back at it now, and I'm like, man, it was a blessing that you was doing that, because there's a lot of friends that I do have that didn't have that, that wish they would have had somebody say, no, you can't do this, And I remember you talking to me before, like, you know what, I know I'm hard on you, but you're going to look back and say, look, you're going to thank me for doing certain things that I did for you. Even back to when I wanted to get cornrows at the time.
I remember that. I was getting ready to bring that up, man.
I wanted to get cornrows at the time.
Yeah. Let me explain that too, right?
Yeah, I'm still a little salty.
I know you're still salty about that because that come up every now and then in conversation. It was, when you have children, each child is different. Mm-hmm. So a Marcus having cornrows would have been different than you, or Dominique. There's certain things I didn't let her do because I knew she'd be influenced with the crowd she fit in. Mm-hmm. And I felt like, be your own self. So with you, I knew there was greatness coming out of you. You need to be your own self, but you didn't want to have to try to fit in. And it wasn't the cornrows. It was the reasons you wanted it. Mm-hmm. And it was like you wanted it for the wrong reasons. And I'm like, trying to fit in with these guys and these people. I saw some of the folks. You were in that middle. You were like getting ready to sway to this way to the wrong crew you're gonna hang with, and the cornrows would have really took you over. And I felt like, nah, man, if he get his hair done the right way, girls are gonna like it. He's gonna see a different side. So you're trying to mold but not control. And so there's some mistakes. No question about it. As a father, I was not perfect, but I felt like, gosh, this is the wrong reason. And there was just something on the inside saying, not right now for him. And I couldn't explain it. And I think that every parent has that, where I just don't have the words to explain why it's a no. Mm-hmm. I just don't have it. But I feel like no. And I remember even with your sister, I said, she shouldn't be hanging with this girl. Remember that girl she was hanging with? Mm-hmm. I won't mention her name. And they kept getting in trouble. They kept getting in trouble when they were together. And I was giving the girl a ride to school, remember? Mm-hmm. And you were in the kitchen. And so every moment is a teachable moment. And I didn't want to embarrass her, but I said, John is watching. He's going to have kids. He needs to know he needs to protect his kids with a no or a solid decision right here. Because he's going to have it with his kids. We didn't know there's going to be a Kyson. I knew you're going to have kids, but now look at Kyson, it's like he's going to begin to see some of these things. So remember I said, okay, I just feel like you need to take a break from her. And she didn't know how to tell her. I said, you can blame it on me, whatever. I said, so I'm not going to give her a ride to school because I will be co-signing you hanging with her. And y'all keep getting in trouble. You remember that morning in the kitchen? And she came over. I said, I've talked to you about this for a couple of weeks. You need to go tell her or I'm going to tell her. And she said, I don't know how to tell her. I said, okay. And you said, Dad, you going to say this? Yeah, I'm going to have to say it. So I told her very gently, I said, you guys keep getting, I just think you guys need to get a break. I'm a nice girl, Mr. Stevens. I'm not bad. I'm not saying you're bad. I'm saying you guys need to take a break. And I felt like if I don't do this now, it's too late looking at my child in a coffin. Can't nobody say that to me at that point. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, we was just here. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And the worst thing you can have as a human being is your child die or be incarcerated. Mm-hmm. And some of that, you can't raise your children by fear. And I think some of that, I did that. And that was mistakes because I was fearful that you guys would end up in the wrong situation. And I was fighting against that. And it didn't come across lovingly. Mm-hmm. I'm more mature now. Grandchildren are the grand do-over, so I do something different with them. But
you already know the grandkids get treated better than the
kids. Man.
That just comes with it, But there was a lesson to be learned there. What you said, sometimes you made decisions, even though you didn't really know why you were making it. Sometimes, or if you just went with your gut feeling. I feel like that's something that people can take from this. Is also, look, you may not understand why it is that you're saying no, mm-hmm. but go with your gut. And I feel like that's what you did. You went with your gut. I mean, people can say it's the Holy Spirit, mm-hmm. But mm-hmm. always go with your gut on what you feel is right, because you could be protecting your kids from something. Who knows? Like,
can I say something here? If it's okay, can I elaborate more on that? Okay. I think we miss it a lot there mm-hmm. as parents. And we want to be our children's friends, and I think that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. But you can't forget you're a parent. And my job, by God, is to raise up a good individual that's going to step out in society, make a difference in society. You were going to be married to a wife. I can't give Keisha a horrible man. That's just not fair. So you're going to get married and you're going to be this abusive, talk to her any kind of way, dude. I couldn't do that. I knew you're going to have a wife. I know Dominique's going to be a wife. Ashley, a wife. You got to be the best human being for the other person and for your own kids. And so I began to think of that. And then later on, I began to think of what I was modeling for my grandchildren, because you would do what I did. And so that became the big thing for me. So sometimes it's that gut thing, and it is the Holy Ghost that says, say no to this. You just don't know why. I always wanted to give y'all explanation, but there's a few times I just didn't have the words to say, here's why. I just felt like it's a no, or you're going with me. I don't want to go with you. And who knows what saved you or saved us from that, from something horrible. I don't know. But
and I feel like that's you've taught us that, man. You've said it over and over again. You follow your spirit. What is your spirit telling you? And like I said, people call it a gut feeling, but I'll always go with my gut. When it comes to certain situations, just off of you talking to me about that, man. Just always follow your heart. Follow you. If something don't feel right, don't do it. Even though you want to do something, don't do it. So I always try to follow that, man. Especially, man, going back to the situation that I was in. Like we talked about my teenage years, and I feel like also there's just some things that you can teach us as much as you want to. I mean, there's some things that we just got to go through on our own.
Yeah, no question about it. And as a parent, we make mistakes. We try to protect you from everything. We can't. So those things you're gonna learn on your own.
Yeah. So I feel like for me, that's what happened with me. I won't get too much into it, but just I was rebellious at the time, like from 17 to 18, just doing what I wanted to do, and I didn't listen to you, man. There was so many times where you sat down and just talked to me about certain things, watch who you hang out with, and I ended up just doing my own thing, and I ended up getting arrested,
And that hurt, man.
It was a lot, At that time period, it was just a lot going through my mind, man. Just didn't feel like I was enough, man, at the time. Just felt like I let a lot of people down. Felt like I let you down. I always wanted to make you proud, man, and I felt like at that moment, I just felt like I let you down big time, because you had always pressed to me on certain things that I was supposed to be doing. Watch who you hang out with, watch the company you keep, and all that stuff. And I just kept going against it. Felt like I was grown, I could do what I wanted to do, and I ended up paying for it. And it was a situation I had to go through.
We all paid.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Even though I felt like, okay, all right, I'm making this decision, but not thinking about who it's going to affect. And it did affect me, but then it also affected you. It affected Mom. It affected a lot of people around me, just off a decision that I made. And just
remember I told you this about Grammy? Grammy started smoking at 13, and she didn't think anything about it. She was trying to fit in, do something. She started smoking at 13. It was a 60-some year addiction. And then she got lung cancer. And she didn't just go through it by herself. Man, we all went through it. She didn't know she was going to have grandchildren. You went through it. I really went. Doris. We all suffered with her decision to start smoking. Taking off work. It cost us leave. There was money involved. Getting her back and forth to these other facilities. Didn't have the money. Getting up, worried at night. You wonder if she's going to be alive. Then finally, she left us, I think, way too soon because she died of cancer. And it started with a bad decision. And if we could consider that whatever decision we're making is not just going, you can't say, what's my life? I want to do it. No. You're going to affect your grandchildren, because I felt confident she went to heaven because I'm confident where she went. You know what hurts me every time I have to tell that story about her? Standing in that hospice corridor telling y'all that your grandmother was in there and she just died. Jesus Christ, that makes me cry every time I talk about it. It makes me cry every time I talk about it because my kids hurt. And so we can think about our kids and these decisions, man, we make. We save grandchildren drama. We save, it's more than just about you're raising them all the time. You're raising your grandkids. You don't realize it. Right now, you just got Tyson, but he's got kids coming. So every decision you make is going to affect him. And if we could think about that in every decision we make, man, it'd be better. Yeah. I'm sorry, man. I'm getting all weepy on your show.
No, you good, man. You good. Now, which is, like I said, with that decision, decision I made, it affected it. It affected a lot of people, and that's also a lesson that people can learn on this show as well. Is that make sure you make those right decisions, because they don't just affect you individually. Mm-hmm. Certain decisions that you make are going to affect other people that you may not know, and it could be friends that you're close with.
Right. Right.
Something happened to you, and now they sick because something happened to you, and they trying to do the best to get off. Like, so it's a lot. It's a lot that you got to consider when you make decisions, man. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely something that
life full of choices, man. The Bible tells us in Deuteronomy 30:19, God's placed before us life and death. Mm-hmm. And they said, choose life. So choose what's going to help you live, not just physically, what's going to gain something for your life, what's going to be prosperous for you. Sometimes we choose death, what we do with our health and our body, how we eat, what we neglect exercising sometimes. People get older, they don't do the things they need to do to take care of the body, to be around, to give the wisdom to their grandchildren. Or they think of themselves, well, I like this, I'm gonna eat this. You can't eat all that greasy stuff, and you gotta start thinking, okay, well, now I'm gonna drink. It ain't nothing. I've been drinking and getting home by myself. No, because now you're gonna affect something. You can get arrested. Now you got a DWI. You can't. It's all these things are connected. Or being with somebody that's trifling. You don't know what they got, and that's that gut feeling thing again. Mm-hmm. Okay, you know what, man? Something tell me about you, dude. I mean, not. Or even with guys that are married cheating on their wives, Yeah, things might not be well at home or whatever, but man, you're going to always have that one somebody that's going to be there to listen, and next thing you know, you into this, and now, you got kids that won't talk to you, and now your son don't want to talk to you because now you can't see grandkids. This is a one decision. So it's like, all right, man, I got to find a way to discipline my life so I don't end up in these situations that's called death, because I don't want to have a separation with my family. I want to make sure that I'm always there for them, because as a father, everybody's pulling. You got 5 kids. Everybody's pulling for something different. Everybody needs something, and you got to be all things to all of them. And so you have to make sure that you're strong physically, mentally, and spiritually. Got to make sure you're strong in all those areas, because everybody needs something different.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, man. When going back to talking about fatherhood, how would you say you was able to find balance, with being a father, as far as your career, as being a minister, pastor? How did you find balance?
I'm not sure there is a thing called balance. I think that everything needs to get equal opportunity. Mm-hmm. So when you think balance, you're trying to, I'm trying to tilt this over here. So, oh no, I got to. Nah, it's too hard. Nobody can do that. I think you give everything as equal opportunity, attention. There's no such thing as multitasking. I can't, you giving your attention to something. If you're not giving your full attention to something, you're taking away from that thing, giving it somewhere else. So, okay, now it's time to deal with this. So I have many hats. So when I'm in the church, I am pastor, minister, administrator of the church. That is what I am. But then when I'm with your mom, I'm husband, and that is what I am. And when I'm with y'all, I'm father, and now we have a friendship, which we always have had. I'm that. So instead of just being a dad to you, I'm always going to be your dad, but then there's also that brotherhood that we have. When you get older, the Bible says this, that children, Ephesians 6, obey your parents in the Lord. I think children, when they're young children, they obey. Then it says, honor your father and mother. It shifts from a place from children obeying to the honor part. And now we honor and respect our parents. And it's like, you're my brother in Christ, you're my man, So it's a difference. And so we give that attention. We give job attention. We give this attention. And you can't say you balance all of that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'll say, I mean, I feel like in a way that you have to try to find some type of balance, man, because I know for me, being a father, being a husband, working a 9 to 5, it's sometimes it gets challenging at times. And then doing things that I want to do as far as like we doing the Father Fam show, trying to balance that. I mean, it's a lot.
Here's what I would say. I would say don't think of balance, because when you think of balance, it's like I'm juggling, and it's a lot, and it puts more on your stress in your mind. It's just prioritizing. So, okay, right now, this is the priority to get the podcast done, the video done. When you're with your children, that's the priority at the time. And so when you organize your life, yeah, there are things you got to, like when you go to work, yeah, you're still a father. And if something happened to your children, that's the priority. I got to leave. You're not going to sit there and think, well, no, I don't get off. No, your son just fell off something. He's at the hospital. There's no such thing as balance. It's like, that's priority. I got to go be there. If your wife needs you, that's a priority. So I've always, in my life, said, here's how we kick in this. God is always first, family next, everything else after that. And so I'm part of, God is part of what you're called to do. So I don't, I look at things, it's a lot to do. And there's some things I got to get rid of. So I had 3 bowling nights. Well, we're not going to bowl one of those nights now because I got other priorities.
I just feel like, okay, I guess, I mean, for me, I'm speaking for also the men out there that may have, they got to take on 2 jobs because they're not making enough. They're on child support, but they want to spend time with their kids, and they're trying to find a balance, and work is overtaking what they do. How do they find a way to spend that more time if they got to work to make a living to survive for themselves?
You got to find it where you can. Because and you have to communicate.
That's easier said than done, though.
That's what. Well, here's the thing: nothing's impossible. And if there's communication, especially when you guys were young, I work nights, so I couldn't say, well, I just can't get my kids. No, we're gonna have to work out a way to get my kids and spend time with my kids, which means I'm sacrificing something else, because spending time with my sons is more important at the time. So my nights off was Sunday night, Monday night. Worked out, this is when I'm spending time. I can't be with them on Friday. I can't be with them on Saturday because I had to be at work. But now I can't go because you was a priority. I can't say, well, now I'm doing this. And at times I did do that. I was selfish. Like, okay, I'm gonna hang out. I need my own space. But no, what's priority? I had these children. So now part of being a parent is sacrifice. You give up whatever you gotta give up, because I got a human that needs my attention. They need me working and they need my attention. And so there are times that we've even talked about my call, being at the church. I came to every game. I coached games. I did all that in concert with working and being at a conference and speaking here. I had to speak and do this. But when it came down to your games, I had to be at them games. I had to, okay, now I'm not doing that. So if that meant lack of sleep, it might have meant find lack of sleep or drink a caffeine drink or whatever I got to do so I can be there. Then it was your mom. We discovered that, okay, we got to take family vacations. And when the money was afforded to us, we were able to do it. We took a family vacation, and then I went away with her because she needed my attention as well. And so that's why I went to what's priority. So there's some other things that I had when you guys were younger that I'm doing some of now, but I couldn't do it then.
Yeah, and that was
because I wanted to be there.
We were going to talk about that too, as far as, and I'll say, and I'll be honest with you, Pops, I feel like that was one area where I felt like, I'm speaking for myself, not speaking for any of my other siblings. I feel like it could have been, that's an area where I felt like you could have been better at when it came to the church, because I felt like a lot of time went to the church. Not saying that you didn't give us any time. I just felt like, the church took up a lot of the time. And it wasn't even me at the time as a teenager or as a kid being upset with you. It was just work. It was the work. It was the job. And I see even myself as me becoming a father, it's like how I want to be able to have more time with my kids because the job, man, that's not really, not 9 to 5 job is not really where I want to be. If I can create more time, how can I do that? But I felt like it was like you was forced to have to be with the church. And some people don't know how to. Some people think that church is just, oh, pastor shows up on Sunday and that's it, and they go home and they go and no, there's counseling sessions, meetings that you have, things that you got to do throughout the week that you got to be a part of. I just felt like, man, I kind of felt like the church kind of just, they kind of took that time away that we would have had more time together. And I just, and I look back at that time like, man, I wish that Pops had more time, even though he was there when I needed him most. I just like, that could be me being selfish in a way, wishing that I could have had more time with my Pops. But I just felt like the church took that away. And some people don't realize that. They talk about preachers' kids. I mean, us preachers' kids go through some stuff now. Like,
yeah, man.
I mean, it's
because
like,
you're sharing your love with other people.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big, I learned later on, like I said, television was what I saw a lot of family stuff on because I didn't have those type of things, One of the things that I felt, it gives a false reality of what fatherhood is. Yeah, you can look at the Huxtables and one's a doctor, one's a lawyer, but that's not everybody's reality. You got people, like you said, working 2 jobs. You got, I know one dude now, he's working 2 jobs, almost 2 full-time jobs just to make it. And he felt like he didn't have a choice, He felt like I didn't have this, and he's doing all that he can just so his family can live. And I feel for him, but he's doing everything he can to keep his family's head above water. And his wife works. And what do you do? Right now, for them to live, it's a priority for him to do that. But then when he comes home, I had talked to him, I said, you make sure, man, you don't have any spare time. And you're going to have to realize that right now until you can get a better job where you can get more money for less of your physical body being on a site somewhere. When you come home, you're going to have minimal sleep because you're going to spend time with your children. You can't say, well, I got to sleep, I got to go back to work. No, you're going to have to try to spend time with your family. And that is tough. And I wish I had the answer. Of course, more money, trying to figure out, okay, and of course for me, it is, all right, Father, help me, my prayer. Show me a way that I can do what I need to do, bring more income in so that I can have more time. And when people say we shouldn't talk about money in church, they lost their mind. That's the biggest thing most people worry about is the money. Is how do I get more money so that I can provide my family with better things? I got tired of going to restaurants and reading the menu from right to left. You know what I mean when you do it from right to left? I'm looking at the prices and go, that's what I'm getting right there. I got tired of doing that. So I had to find another way spiritually, and God has a way to prosper us. And we know what it is, but we won't talk about it here. But there's a way that you can get more, and the way God will get it, make it a lot easier. And you just need the wisdom to be able to get it. God has the wisdom to get you to a place where you can get a hold of your life. That's what you're trying to do. And then you'll be in a place where you can because he wants you to spend more time with your family. God wants that. But sometimes we think we got to do it with a whole lot of effort, and we just need more wisdom.
Yeah. I said that's what I struggle with, man. It's just trying to figure all that out, man. As far as the balance thing, I'm still working on it. Did a video on it.
Yeah, I know.
Did a video on it.
And I think people ought to do an audit of their time. If we take an honest audit of our time, how much time did you spend on social media? How much time did you spend in sleeping? How much time and you really look at it and put it on a chart and see, you could probably most people can find time and see, you know what, I'm wasting time doing this. I'm wasting time doing this. I looked at my time one time, I was like, I was on, your phone will tell you now how much time you spent on with your phone open on social media. You're looking like, Jesus, I was that long on this. And you don't realize it all adds up. And where you think you don't have the time, yeah, you get the time. I did this with a guy at work one day. He was talking about money. And he was just a chronic smoker. And he smoked a lot. I had to drive his mail truck one time. It was terrible in that truck. So he was talking about, man, I need to get a new car and money. He was an older guy, way older than me. And he should have been almost retired. And his money. So I said, well, let's talk about cigarettes. How much they cost. When we finished doing the math on how many packs he smoked a day, how many to a week, to a month, to a year, he could pay a whole car off debt free. His cigarettes alone. And I said, now, and it's killing you slowly. So if you could handle that and get rid of that, so now here's what we're talking about. Now we're talking about working on a self-discipline. That way you can stop smoking, put that money somewhere else, then you can have a better ride. And it was a car payment that he could have paid the car off. When we did the math, we're like, dude, you smoke that much? If I went to number, it was crazy. So now that came down to a self-discipline thing. Mm-hmm. And most of the time with people, it's a self-discipline thing. Mm-hmm. Some guys say, I can't get a job. Well, why can't you get a good job? If you talk to them, I find out you can't keep a good job because you don't know how to be quiet at work. So you get fired from here. Something is always tied to something else. Mm-hmm. Or you're not applying yourself to learn something else, and here's the time you can spend learning something else to get yourself in a better place, to get a better job. It comes down to some kind of management in some other area in your life.
You're right. I don't want to keep it going too long, man. I know we kind of went over time.
Nah, man, it's been good. It's been good. And I apologize, man. I rambled a little bit.
But we'll wrap it up with this though, Pops. Okay. What would you say is the best part of being a father to you?
Man,
the best part of being a father
for me, my time with you guys, it's just being able to spend time with y'all. That's my best part. And then seeing the fruit of who you guys are becoming. It's amazing. I had something heavy going with me, and you guys all called me with mature stuff. Everybody had something tight to say to me. And I told your mom, I was like, man, I got adults that gave me everybody their own wisdom that was everybody. It was so amazing. And only one I haven't talked to Ashley about it. She's the only one I hadn't talked to. But Matt, you, Dominic, and Marcus, man, y'all dropped some stuff on me, and I'm like, wow. So it's like the circle of life that came back, where I got wisdom from you guys and made me think. You said something so powerful, people in the home, Dad. The way you said it wasn't just what you said; it's the way you said it, and the way you guys loved me when I was in the hospital. For those 19 some days or whatever it was in ICU, man, if I kicked in and did something different. Mm-hmm. And my children loving me back, those things, that meant a lot, to me. And then to watch how you treat your wives and your children, that is the greatest reward I could ever ask for. Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess I can say the best part for me with my short time of being a father would just be the moments, the small moments that I've had so far. It's just holding them and watching them achieve those small accolades by walking, crawling, seeing those. That's the greatest thing to me. I know there's going to be more that comes along with the older they get and the more things that they do. But for me right now, it's just like you always say, cherish those moments. They're young right now. They ain't gonna be young forever. So I try to cherish those small moments right now.
Yeah.
So I can always taking in, being in the moment.
I can still remember you looking at shoes. It's like it was yesterday, man, watching you walk for the first time. First time you said, Dad. June was at the house, came over there, you said, man, all those things I'll never forget. Mm-hmm. And they are moments, man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you, again, man, you're doing an excellent job. I'm so proud of you, of how you are with your children, the initiative you take, the love and care you give them. Man, it's on my FaceTime, you got somebody in your arms doing something.
Mm-hmm. And I'm proud of you too, Pops. Yeah. I'm proud of you too, just the way that you raised us and the way you carry yourself, the example that you've been to us. for me on how to be a father, how to be a man. I'm just thankful that I was able to have that father role model in my life. Because I know at times when I was young, I took it for granted. Uh, even with like I said, some friends that I had didn't have that. You take it for granted when you have a father coming home every day. It's like it's just something natural to you. But then
Right.
the older I get, me doing this show now, it's like, man, there's a lot of people that didn't have what I had. So I'm just very appreciative, man, of what you've done for me in my life and just how you raised me. Because you definitely played a big part in the reason why I am who I am today, the man that I am today. And I just thank you, man. And I appreciate you doing this, coming on, us chopping it up,
man.
talking.
That was cool, man.
This was a good convo, man.
All we did was have a conversation that we normally have behind the scenes.
and I want this to. Hopefully this was able to help other people out there, man. I really do, man. I just felt like this is something that needed to be done, and I'm gonna continue to bring other people on as well, and getting everybody else's experiences. Not everybody's experience is the same, so we're gonna try to keep putting this stuff out there, man, and recognizing some of the good fathers out there that are doing great things. And we're going to elevate this thing, man. This is the beginning of something great. If you have not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Also, hit the notification bell and share. Share this video. We want to get it out to as many people as we possibly can so we can help make the world a better place. And now, for the viewers that have been viewing my content, you already know what the saying is. The saying is, be blessed, be great, be you. Nobody else is better at being you than you, all right? We out. One love, deuces. Catch y'all on the next video. Peace.